Hello, I'm Mary Colwell. I'm an author. I'm director of the charity Curlew Action, chair of the Curlew Recovery Partnership. Are you beginning to see a trend here? All to do with curlews. But I love wildlife in general. And my connection to this part of the world is through my mum, actually. My mum was born in Enniskillen. She was one of 8. And she often talked about her childhood in Enniskillen. It was obviously a really important place. She said she never learnt to swim because her mum and dad thought if they swam, they'd just be tempted to go in the loch. So it is a kind of strange way of looking at things. But she talked about the loch, she talked about the landscape, she talked about the sort of sense of being in the heart of Ireland, really. And it was the way she talked about it was always very emotional. There's this kind of misty look came into her eyes. She married my dad, who was English, so she ended up living in Stoke-on-Trent, a bit different to Enniskillen. So I love this part of the world because it reminds me of her, and I feel connected to her through her love of this place. And when she was quite elderly, I brought her and my dad out here, and we stayed in one of the loch lodges, and I think I'm so glad I did that. I'm so glad that I could give her a week by the loch in later life. It meant a lot to her. We came back to Northern Ireland every school holiday for as long as I lived at home. We came to Northern Ireland, Enniskillen as well. And what she did tell me was how she remembered in the school holidays going to stay with relatives who lived on farms spread around the place. The sound of corncrakes. She said corncrakes were incessant. She said that it was all night. You'd lie awake at night in the farmhouse somewhere in Fermanagh, and all you would hear is corncrakes. And she could even mimic the sound of it, and yet she wasn't that interested in wildlife. So corncrakes is another bird that always reminded me of my mum. I think Fermanagh for me has a kind of mystical feel. I think it's in the mist off the lake and the sort of watery, mysterious islands, that kind of thing. And I've always felt it's a bit of a tale that maybe Tolkien could have written about. He could have written about Fermanagh. It has that sense to it, being surrounded by very calming hills. So it's a very beautiful place, and it's about ancestors, it's about history, it's about culture, and it's about being rooted in a landscape. And when I come to Fermanagh, I'm with my mum.